Hi, what's good, people? What's going on? We are going to have Resident Evil 3 launch April 3rd, and I was just curious as to how the new Nemesis in this Resident Evil 3 will compare to the other Nemesis from Resident Evil 6 in particularly, and also the Resident Evil 2 remake. The Ustanak from Resident Evil 6 and Mr. X, of course, from Resident Evil 2. So let's look into it, starting with Mr. X. So I'm just going to read this insert from Resident Evil Wiki, of course, and it states, the T-103 is a mass-produced variety of Tyrant, produced by Umbrella. They are modified clones of the T-002, developed at the Arclay Laboratory, improving upon its qualities. By improving the T-103's metabolism over the T-002, cellular generation was improved, allowing them to quickly regenerate from injuries they sustain during combat. However, should T-103 sustain heavy amounts of damage, not only do they regenerate, but they also begin to mutate, most likely as an adaptive response to the extensive trauma they have received. These regenerative mutations are why most T-103s were provided with power limiters, which are devices intended to prevent any further mutations in the event of a serious injury. This device would be deactivated, allowing the T-103s to undergo drastic regenerative mutations and rapidly evolve into their so-called super tyrant forms. So this is Mr. X we're speaking about here, and very sinister from a gameplay perspective. He doesn't sprint, he does kind of power walk, however, and he is kind of like a bullet sponge when you think about it. Can withstand heavy damage because you can drive a truck into him and he'll withstand it and eventually move it out of the way. And of course, he does have a super tyrant variant form to his current form, but overall he isn't that menacing once you get used to him, in a sense. So, you know, there's that. He doesn't really use much tools either. Like, he doesn't use guns or big machine guns or anything like that. He can, however, leap short distances. So in the library in Resident Evil 2, if you climb up the ladder, he doesn't walk all the way up the stairs. He actually just leaps to you instead. So there is that. And he does have, obviously, super strength to be able to move a helicopter out of the way and also a truck. So keeping in mind, Mr. X is stemming from the T virus. The Ustanak stems from the enhanced C virus. So Ustanak was a human-based BOW based on a former employee of Dr. Carla Redemes, who is a clone of Ada Wong. Hopefully she comes back in some form. I don't think she will, but hopefully as a, I don't know, secret character or something like that. That would be cool to play as her in like the Project Resistance or something like that. But anyway, Carla was instrumental in Neo Umbrella's hunt for Jake Muller, one of the best characters in Resident Evil in my opinion. Jake Muller being Albert Wesker's son, one of the best villains in gaming history. But anyway, Jake Muller for the creation of enhanced C virus. Ustanak's name comes from the suburban word for revolution. But let's get into his biography a little bit. Okay, so the Ustanak's most notable feature is its right arm, which was possibly surgically attached, as seen by evidence of the skin being stapled together around the right pectoral muscle. The arm seems to be designed to use a multitude of accessories, such as a large hydraulic powered claw with needles to grab targets and collect blood samples, to several mining drills to break through rock walls, or a chain gun attachment. The Ustanak will alter its equipment depending on the environment it deployed in. Other evidence of cybernetic enhancements exists, such as the mechanical fingers seen on its left hand and a row of metallic plates along its spine. On one occasion, the Ustanak has a human-sized cage attached to the back of a strap upon its torso that it will use to keep a target out of commission. There is an organ on the creature's back that dispenses OCO, BOWs, which it uses to detect its targets. I believe those are like the fireflies or something like that, which is awesome. The Ustanat pursues its target ruthlessly, but remains completely loyal and obedient to Carla Ridmers, carrying out her orders without hesitation. It is quick to alter its combat abilities depending on the situation, such as attaching the chain gun to its arm when assaulting a helicopter, and will swap its arm attachments frequently. This is evident during the fight against Jake, Sherry, Leon, and Helena, where it swaps out the claw it uses to capture Jake for a shotgun in order to eliminate the other characters. Despite its size, the creature is extremely fast, able to keep up with its targets and catch up to them easily. Although its primarily offensive tool is the weapons on its right arm, the Ustanat is more than capable of holding its own without this device and will engage foes in hand-to-hand combat if necessary. So that is the Ustanat. That is some background on him, and he was very menacing, very, very menacing, and he was quite a character to be fearful of, because just like the bio says, he's ruthless. And when playing against him, I think for me, the main thing is the fact that he can sprint, and that's what makes him more scary. And he's the tracker. He can track you down wherever you go. He was, to me, the equivalent to like the Hulk, whereas Mr. X is the equivalent to the Terminator. So since the Ustanat is the equivalent to the Hulk, he also does have super strength and the ability to leap like across buildings kind of thing as well. And it just makes him all the more dangerous for the fact that he has all these utensils with his right arm, and the claw, the cage, the machine gun. Yeah, he was just menacing. Very, very, very menacing. So that brings us to the Nemesis. Bit of background on the Nemesis. The Nemesis T-type is a T-103 Tyrant clone, and thus possesses all of the conventional attributes of a T-103 Tyrant, ranging from superhuman strength, resilience, and regeneration, as well as limited intelligence. So it's almost the equivalent to Mr. X, but a slightly advanced version, because this Nemesis is a form of the T-virus, but also a parasite as well. But let's keep going. So, however, unlike its brethren, it has been further augmented by the Nemesis A parasite, giving it newer enhanced abilities. Yeah, that's exactly what I expected. Okay, so intelligence. Thanks to the Nemesis parasite hijacking the body, Nemesis T-type not only possesses human level intelligence, but it also demonstrates rational thinking and self-awareness, allowing it to solve complex tasks on its own, such as the handling of weaponry in combat. Now that's interesting, because it seems to me that the Nemesis is more utensil based. He can use different types of weaponry and armory, such as a flamethrower, rocket launcher, machine gun, things like that. Physiology. Due to the chemical secretions of the Nemesis parasite, the Tyrant host skin has suffered from brown staining, giving it a corroded appearance. These secretions also have regenerative properties, which further enhance the existing regenerative abilities of the Tyrant, despite its greater regenerative prowess. Though the effects of continual T-virus exposure means that the more times Nemesis T is injured, the greater it will mutate, rather than possessing a power limiter. That's interesting. The Nemesis T's mutations are theoretically kept in check by protecting its body with a thick coat designed to protect it from bullets and explosions. And then there's information about further mutations. Unlike its brethren, the Nemesis T-type undergoes unique regenerative mutations when in the field. The Nemesis T prototype suffered from severe mutations during its experiences in Raccoon City. Its coat was shredded when its rocket launcher exploded, and soon after it passed out in the burning ruins of the St. Michael Clock Tower. So that's just some background on the Nemesis T-type. I really hope in Resident Evil 3 Remake they do adopt, and by the sounds of it, they have taken the approach of making the Nemesis showcase his intelligence, and that therefore makes him more fearful. So of course he can go through walls, he can hunt you down. He's more of a hunter as opposed to Ustanak, that's more of someone who can track you down and then use his abilities that he has to hunt you. The Nemesis is very, very scary for the fact that he can run as opposed to Mr. X that can just jog or power walk. And he can use different types of weaponry to immobilize you in order to succeed in his task in searching for the STARS members. I personally feel like, for the simple fact that the Ustanak can sprint, just because of that, he's more fearful in my opinion. But the Nemesis is definitely very, very, very scary and someone you don't want to approach even in game if you don't have the ammo or even the herbs. That's just my thoughts. I really hope and can't wait to see what else they've done with the new Nemesis. Let me know what you think of how he compares to the former, the other Nemesises as well. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.
You're Wesker Jr.
Wesker? You lost me.
Albert Wesker was a colossal imbecile. A fool who tried to destroy the world. He was also your father.
What?
Which makes you heir to a very special blood type.